Most important strat is that I've been practicing a swag room here. So instead of taking... So there's 3 paths through this room, right? There's the boring path, which is straight up. Don't do anything else, just straight up. There's the path that I normally do, where you come to the right and up these 2, and then straight up. And then there's the full swag. Like that. And if you mess it up, you get really confused and you lose a bunch of time. But that's the most important strat to practice. It's not actually the most important strat. It saves... The way I do it, which is just skipping these first couple over here, so right, right, up, up, right, right, and then straight up, that saves about a second. And doing the full swag saves about another second to second and a half. So clearly it's the most important thing. But yeah, anyway, so I'll go through the save states from the start here. So, turn the sound down just a little bit more. So, this one here is right after changing into, I don't know if Tiptoe's up or not, right after changing into a Sage. So, we got the Sage with her inventory as is, the heroes, and the Mage. So the way I do my grind is during the Thirsty Pitcher menu, I trade the accessories back. So heroes got the Meteorite, Sage has the Strength, Thief has the Hero Bracer, Mage has the Heavy Metal Ring. So I'm just going to fast forward, zoom through this section. Moving with turbo on is really difficult, by the way. Grab this. Tiptoe, grab the Life Seed. So this menu, this Thirsty Pitcher menu, is one of the ones that's like notoriously a disaster. Right, for everybody. Everybody messes up this menu. It's impossible. So the general idea, pick up the key. Hopefully this goes to your Sage. Sometimes if you don't use many powders, this will actually end up going to the hero, and it's a pain. Sort, Sage only. And now what you end up with is the Sage with, like, nothing. Right. So, I go onto the hero, I trade the Meteorite to the Mage, and swap it for the Heavy Metal Ring. And then we give this to the level 1 Sage. And then we give the sword to the Sage, don't equip. And then we just go into the bag. Oops. The down button. Give this to the hero. And then give these over. It's not really that difficult, but where things are is going to change a little bit. You know, the hero might have the sword equipped instead of the whip, which changes things. So then you go into your menu, and then you go to swap things. Oops, I didn't sort. See? Already disaster. And then, like, you gotta equip. And then give the sword over. Trade all accessories, then sword and powders. You can do that. I like doing all of the inventorying here without having to bounce in and out to sort and back. But, yeah, in general, just kind of do what you're comfortable with here. Just make sure you get all the accessories right. So one key thing to note, you mentioned leaving the Hero Bracer on the hero during the grind. And, like, it's not the worst idea. But 2 things to keep in mind. One is that means that the thief's attacks are going to be relatively weaker, which reduces your chance of, for example, Thief Whip plus Bolt Staff killing 2 Garudas. You know, it increases the likelihood that one of them survives. And it means that the hero really loses a lot of chance of outspeeding Metal Slimes or enemies in general. And the Hero Bracer also affects your personality. So with the Hero Bracer on the hero, you'll gain more strength but less hit points. So you could end up with a case where those, 5 or 6 levels of having the Hero Bracer equipped negatively impact your late game hit points for your hero. So kind of keep those things in mind if you're going to play it that way. Post Mage Warrior. So this is after the second class change. Really simple. It's your last swap back. Mage Warrior's inventory gets kind of rearranged when she class changes. All we're going to do here is we're going to give the Bolt Staff over. We're going to equip it. We're going to trade the accessories. And then we're done. That's it. So Sage should end up with the Bolt Staff equipped, the armband equipped. Mage has the heavy metal ring equipped. So these save states were from when I first learned the game. I went through and I kind of like reset up inventories, but if you look, you want something funny, all of them have really janky bags. I recommend like using some of these items and resaving them, but look at my bag. I've got a stamina seed, 3 agility seeds, a strength seed, 2 wisdom seeds. Like, I just have tons of junk that never got used. So in every one of these save states, there's just like a bunch of stuff cluttering the bag. So feel free to use stuff and resave state or whatever. That's just left over from when I first learned the game. I kept hero alive during the grind a lot. I never killed him off. So yeah, again, actually, let's just go back to this real quick. So again, this is just simple, right? Bolt Staff equip, swap accessories, done. And obviously, like, if you need to tiptoe or whatever. Saminosa, really easy. My party order here is actually wrong, I think. Oh no, I fixed it. At first my party order is wrong because of hero being alive. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this affects the Elftown menu, which I'll show after. So I just want to make sure that this is clear. So I grabbed that strength seed. Come over to the stairs. Now, I don't have Assassin Dagger in the save state, right? So the save state actually originally had it, and I threw it on the ground to make a new one. So this is Assassin Dagger cut strat. So if you get an Assassin Dagger, you can play things a little differently. But this menu here, we sell the Mage's Magic Shield. We sell the Hero's Magic Shield. We dip into the bag, and we sell basically anything worth anything. So I usually go to the left first. The black hood will be at the end. And basically anything that's got like reasonable value that's in my bag can go. Party dress is obviously the big one. Now the normal cutoff here, iron armor, the normal cutoff for this is 20,300. That will be enough money to get you the zombie killer plus all 3 dragon shields. That's the exact amount you need. I like going about 200 over that, 20,500, and that'll be to set up the next menu. You don't have to, but it will help set up Elftown. So all I did, Mage's Magic Shield, Hero's Magic Shield, and junk. As long as your equips are right, anything in the bag should be more or less be fair game. And then, oops, no, don't sell that. And then buy the zombie killer. Everything as we expect. Oops, whatever. You get the idea. Buy all the stuff as you expect. And what that does is it sets up Elftown. So Elftown, oh, the one other thing I didn't mention was, yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter. So Elftown, we got pretty much the same stuff, right? Transform staff, got the string seed. I picked up the string seed from the Noannials. So this menu with Assassin Dagger Cut is really simple. So remember I got a couple extra 100 gold in that menu in Samanosa. I sell the hero's weapon. I sell the Gaia armor. I sell the Sage's Bolt Staff. And that's it. That's the perfect amount of money. I don't need to hunt for anything else. I buy 2 Sleep Staffs to the Sage, equip, and 2 Prayer Rings to the Sage. That's it. That's the whole shopping. I don't need to hunt for anything else or figure out money. I know if I come in here with a couple 100 gold, just got enough that works out. And then the Sleep Staff, Tonic's notes say to trade it for the Mage's Club, which is quicker. What I do, and I got this from Diener, is I trade it for the Heavy Metal Ring. This will unequip the Heavy Metal Ring from the Mage Warrior into the Sage's inventory. And what I actually do is before, and so then you, yeah, obviously you trade the lamp, and then you just wing to Edinburgh, right? I don't have a save state, but before the Necrogond, after the volcano, I reorder the party. So Sage is in front, then Hero, Warrior, Mage. And then I sort the Sage's inventory. And what that'll do is it'll take out the Heavy Metal Ring and all the extra junk into the bag. And it also means that the Blade Armor and Thunder Sword are going to just show up like right at the top of Sage's inventory. They're not going to get shuffled around. Sometimes things will overflow onto the hero or whatever. They're just going to be right here. So I do this, not here, but I do this before the Necrogond, when you reorder there. Kind of just makes that all nice and easy. So the general gist of my setups are to keep menus like pretty short and simple. Woke up from your floor nap, wanted to give your dog a treat. Don't see his favorite stick. Oh no. Ramia Shrine Inn, there's basically nothing to this one. This is basically just sort all, press B out of here, organize by type, and that just, I mean, you probably already do this, but this just puts the orbs like right near the bottom. Nothing else to that. But where things get interesting here is the shrine out. So after you do all that, this menu. So this is where you have a couple of options. So the way I typically set things up, and I'm actually probably going to change this now. The way I typically set things up is with the moth powder, right? So I go to my bag, I give a moth powder. It doesn't have to be a moth powder. If you're out of powder, give like the raw mirror or something like that. It's just a placeholder item to the top of the Sage's inventory. So I trade this for the Sleep Staff. So that way, the Sleep Staff ends up in the bag, and the Sage ends up with a moth powder on top. Also, while I'm in the bag, I usually have a couple of agility seeds, so I'll use those, whatever I've got. They're right underneath the moth powder. Just use those. And then, oops. And then we wing to Dharma. And yeah, so I get the leaf, I get the Orb of Light, and we end up in the Light Hand. I'll show you an alternate to this in a minute. So get the leaf, get the orb. So that's what Sage has. Moth powder, ring, leaf, orb. Pick up the warrior. And then this menu is simply give the mage warrior staff, give the warrior staff, give the warrior their staff. I do it here. Because I don't have the warrior. So I get the warrior last before going to Baramos. So I don't have the warrior to pass out the staves there. And then I can save and whatever else. Right. So the alternate strat, which I've been playing around with a little bit, is not doing anything here. Actually, so I just don't do anything. I just go to Dharma and get the leaf, then I get the Orb of Light. So Sage still has this inventory. So it means that in Eliahan, just to show this here, Sage's inventory is going to look like... Fixing memory cursor. So if I don't trade the Moth Powder, Sage's inventory looks like this, right? 2 rings, leaf, and orb with the sleep staff still equipped. This is also fine, so it'll set up the Dark World setup. So we'll get there in just a second. But so if I do it this way, this is what I've been kind of playing around with, is not doing the Moth Powder at all. It's a little less trading stuff around, and you'll see that in a minute. And so then you just give the sleep staff to the mage. You trade the 2 staffs here, and then that's it. And then ends up the same, just the Sage doesn't have the Moth Powder. Baramos chests, easy peasy. Pick them up from top to bottom. And the inputs here, like I can recite this off the top of my head, are going to be A down, A, down, A, down, A, down, A. Right? So that's going to be the first part of this menu. I just know that. I have input issues on emulator sometimes. Turbo. That's a swap. So I swapped it for the zombie killer. Then give zombie killer down 2, up 2, trade it for the leaf. That's it. Then we reorder for the warrior in front. What this does is it just makes sure that every time in the Baramos fight, warrior's got sleep staff right on turbo, and turbo into 1. Right. And then misstaff being over 1. Hero equip right 1 gets you right to the misfortune helmet or whatever. And mage has the sleep staff on turbo also. So everything's set up now with those inputs for Baramos. Now after Baramos is where things get a little bit more complicated. So do that one again. Okay. So Hero has nothing in his inventory at this point. It's all sorted still from the Ramia Shrine. Just to go over where everything is. Warrior's got his staffs, Mage has the staff, Sage has this stuff. So I pick up the chests, top to bottom. So we get the axe, the ring, and then the helmet. And you can do this differently, but this is how I do it. Now, we're going to trade the axe for the zombie killer, for the warrior zombie killer. Again, this is one where I just have the inputs memorized. So it's A, down, A, down, A, down, A, down, A. It's like just a really smooth set of inputs. Give, down 2, up 2, trade for the leaf. Gets your leaf onto the hero, and the zombie killer onto the sage. That's that entire menu. So trade for the zombie killer, trade for the leaf. And again, what that does, in particular for the hero's inventory, it makes that menu really easy having the axe at the top, and it means that for the hero, it's going to be just press right 1 to get to the helmet. And then keep the ring on the hero for the Baramos fight in case you need it for Iron Eyes or whatever, and the hero should have that leaf. And then I reorder my party to put the warrior in front. So assuming you don't break any rings or anything in Baramos, that can affect this menu a little bit, so you kind of have to fiddle around with it. But this is going to be the post-Baramos menu, right? So this is the big boy. This is the one that sets up the entire Dark World, really. So I'm going to show this twice. I'm going to show it once with the moth powder, and then once without the moth powder, and you'll see why. So, first, it's probably more efficient to start with the warrior, but first I go to the mage, and I give the sleep staff to the sage, and I replace this moth powder. This will put the sleep staff at the turbo position, so I can just turbo into item to use it. It's the most used staff for the Dark World. Don't equip. Then I give the moth powder back for a prayer ring. So that puts a prayer ring onto the mage. This is where things get a little weird. I go to the warrior, miss staff to the thief, trade for this ring. It's to set up the sage's inventory. Don't equip. Then I trade the ring back for the light orb. This has the effect of having the light orb on the pure warrior. You need to make sure if you do this, it gets traded back later. I do it before bonus. This is where it gets scary because if you forget, the light orb gets stuck here. And then you die to Zoma. I've never done that, but yeah. So what this has the effect of doing, I'm going to put a dummy item into Sage's inventory so you can see the point of what I'm doing here. So this sets up Sage's Dark World inventory. So Warrior still has a sleep staff. Sage can turbo into a sleep staff. I can press right one, up one for the Mist staff, and the Sage's staff will end up here when I buy it. So turbo is sleep, turbo right is Sage, turbo right up is Mist staff, and turbo right left is ring. They're always a minimum number of inputs away, and they're always in the same order. Yeah, so I really like this inventory setup for the Dark World, because I always know where everything is really quickly. The most important one really is the sleep staff. The Sage's staff is also kind of important. So if you don't do the moth powder, everything ends up the same, except Sage doesn't have moth powder, right? So let's say this is our inventory. You can do it pretty similar. There's a couple different ways you can trade things around. I'll do it both from the warrior. I'll trade the sleep staff for this prayer ring. I'll just give the mist staff, and then I'll trade this prayer ring to the mage warrior for her sleep staff. Can kind of do it however you want. Oops. It's also valid to just split that up a little bit, where you do the mage's sleep staff here, and then the mist staff. Either way, you end up with like kind of effectively the same thing. Things are in a little bit different position. So to compare where things end up. Sleep staff is still here. Mist staff is over here now, and then your Sage's staff will still go in the same spot. It's worth noting that when the Mist staff is over here, so when you don't have the Sage's staff, you can actually press up from the light orb to get to that. You don't need to press like left and down or anything, you can just press up. But when the Sage's staff is there, then it just wraps on the right side and doesn't work like that, so menus are weird. But having these items set up for the Dark World is really nice. Rocky Cave, there's not really much here. The only point to Rocky Cave is that I've started doing this from Diener, is I reorder the party to Zoma order. So what this does is it puts these items and the Orichalcum really accessible at the top of the Mage Warrior's inventory, so it makes the selling and everything really easy. There's no real need to do that, but I've just started doing it. It helps with menuing a little bit. I'm not going to do the Myra shopping, that's self-explanatory. And the outcome of this, doing the mage here, is that if you pick up everything correctly and you don't get drops or whatever, which is usually the case, you end up at Zoma's castle tiles here. You actually pick up the Sage's Stone last, and what's going to happen is it's going to go into the warrior's inventory directly, without having to do any kind of trading, because you pick up exactly the amount of stuff Got the ring, you've got the mage's armor, which was replaced with blade armor, the flute, the 2 seeds from Rubus, the Rubus charm, the leaf, the other prayer ring, and the warrior's got the sage's stone. It just kind of works out perfectly if you don't screw anything up. Feel free to do things your way. I kind of forget to do this sometimes still. I mess it up, so. So we get all that stuff. Get to the altar before Hydra. The big thing here is I just go to the warrior. I trade the sage's stone to the sage. I replace the sleep staff. It gets it at the top of the sage's inventory. And then I trade the sleep staff back to the sage for the sage's staff. So the sage's staff will end up on the warrior. He doesn't use it in the King Hydra fight, but what's going to happen is after the Hydra, we do a sort. We distort everything to the bag. This gets rid of all the sleep staffs and all the junk. Mage gets left with just a leaf and a ring, or 2 rings, depending what you break. Warrior, in this case, has the light orb, because that's how I've got this stuff set up. And the sage's staff. Hero just has a ring and a leaf. Sage has the sage's stone. The mist staff is still here, and then the leaf. So I sort all. I go to the warrior. This is where I give the light orb back, and then I trade the staff for the stone. And this just keeps all the healing items at the top of the in-battle inventories. And then that's pretty much it. Fight Boneless, fight Baramos Zombie. You know, you get here, you use your prayer rings, whatever. Use your life seeds, etc. But give the heavy metal ring over if you want. Yeah, that sort is kind of like magic, honestly. So, yeah, that's how I set all this stuff up, and it's for a combination of reasons, right? One is to generally reduce inputs. It's to keep things in battle, knowing where I know exactly where they are, so I don't have to read what I'm doing. I just know where things are. Theoretically, I should be able to play most of this game with, you know, no item descriptions. I just know that when I'm on a certain menu, I do a certain number of inputs. And yeah, so it's to reduce inputs. It's so I know where stuff is, and it's just so I'm always doing the same set of inputs. And again, all these save states have the you know, if I pull a random one here, for example, all these save states have the moth powder on the sage. So if you don't want to do that strat, you'll have to kind of manually rearrange stuff yourself on these save states. I don't blame you for not wanting the light orb onto the warrior and then forgetting to change it back. But I like the way it plays out. So, and then again, the most important strat, the swag strat.